1140 The Fan.
Talkin Money!
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Yeah. At around 3 p.m. on November 23rd, Paul Deutsch was working at DePaul Lettering, the print and embroidery shop he owns in the suburbs of St. Paul, Minnesota, when he got a surprising phone call. It was Bob Mason, the goaltending coach for Deutsch's hometown NHL team, the Minnesota Wild. Mason told Deutsch the Wild was in a fix. One of the team's two goalies, Nicholas Backstrom, couldn't play that night against the Predators because of personal reasons. The team's regular backup, Josh Harding, would take the ice instead, but the guy behind him was minor leaguer Matt Hackett, could not get there from Houston in time. So 51-year-old father of three who'd been playing goalie in a pickup and senior drinking league was now the backup goalie for the Minnesota Wild. And the answer to our quiz question is the NHL. You can be signed on a 24-hour contract. That would be like a dream for me, to be a backup goalie. If they put me in the game, I would probably wet right down my leg. Don't eat the yellow ice. But that might keep them from scoring on me. But anyway, I want the cool mask. Those masks are so cool. I want to design my own. So the NHL, you can become a player for 24 hours, and they will sign you. Off the text line, it's 441140. Text me whatever you'd like. Jeff, I'd like to hear your comments regarding the missing $1.2 billion reported by John Corzine and MF Global. That is a very difficult story. If you've followed that. John Corzine, former New Jersey governor, yes, former New Jersey governor, who did kind of the same thing to New Jersey as he did to MF Global, bankrupt him, was running MF Global. My understanding is this: he decided he was going to make a $6 billion bet on European bonds, and I could be off on some of the terms. Let's just go with the gist of the story. Was going to make basically a company-ending decision on to invest in bonds overseas. And my understanding is what happened is that when the investors in his company found out what he was going to do, before he even did it, they ran to the company and said, "Give me my money back." And so kind of a run on the bank. And when they got there, their money wasn't there. So when you hear it initially, it was reported that he made a bad investment on something and it lost, and that they still have the bonds, or I guess that's part of the problem is they couldn't find some of the bonds also, but really it was kind of a run on the bank, and they went there and the cash wasn't there. And to have this guy come up in front of, let me tell you what, speaking of being let out of jail or put in jail, if that was Jeff Tarbell running MF Global, I would already be on my third girlfriend in the prison, okay? Because I would be there, and I would have been there since the minute they couldn't find 58 cents. And to get up in front of Congress and say, "Boy, I don't know where the $1.2 billion went," and he's not in jail. And he's not in handcuffs. He's just, I don't know. You're making $6 million a year. You don't know. I'm telling you, folks, you and I would be in the can, probably on death row, for losing $1.2 billion. A few other guys have lost a few money. They're all in jail right now. So some of the outrage, a lot of the outrage is over the lost money, and a lot of the outrage is over the fact that this guy's walking around on the street. And if you don't think politics has something to do with that, I mean, it's amazing, but it's ugly, and I think it's going to get uglier. I don't think they've gotten to the bottom yet of everything that's going on there. So anyway, I'm glad it's not you or I, but I hope those people get their money back. There is some hope that maybe they can track down some of those bonds that were purchased and get some of the money back. But boy, I don't know. And people wonder why you don't want to put your money in the bank or put your money in investments. It's scary. Are you pointing to the text line there, the next one? Okay. From the 916, Jeff, I've got a $350,000 home loan. First and a second with Freddie is on the first. High student loans, good credit, no late payments. House worth probably $100,000 less than I owe on it. What can I do? Probably the only thing you can do is wait for the Freddie Mac HARP, H-A-R-P, like Paul, HARP program to come into effect. It's working its way through like the Fannie one is. It's supposed to have started on December 1st. It kind of did, but it kind of didn't. And so for those of you that are out there with a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan, and keep in mind, this is everybody. Whenever I ask somebody, do you know if you have a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, they always say, well, no, B of A has my loan or Citibank has my loan. It's not who collects your payments. That's a servicer. It's who owns the actual mortgage. So if you don't know and you're upside down in a mortgage, just get on Google or Bing or whatever and just type in the words, does Fannie Mae own my loan? Yes or no. Does Freddie Mac own my loan? Find out if one of those two owns it. In this case, this texter knew that Freddie Mac owned it. On March 1st, they are both supposed to be coming out with a program that will have an appraisal waiver, which basically means they might do an appraisal, but there will not be any loan-to-value restrictions. And so if you're over 120%, 125% of the value, which this is pretty close to being that, you may have to wait to March 1st. My understanding is that there might even be some income documentation waivers as well, which means that you may not have to prove your income. So kind of like an FHA streamline, for those of you who have an FHA loan. On the FHA program, if you have an FHA loan now, you can refinance as long as you're saving 5%. There is no appraisal. There is no tax returns. A lot of those things don't exist for FHA. So Fannie and Freddie are trying to get there in their own way. So for the texter there who's got the house, the older house there, you might check with your existing lender. Freddie Mac so far wants those loans to go back to their existing servicer if possible. Fannie Mae does not care. So that's another reason to know the difference. FHA does not care, but Freddie Mac wants you to go back to your existing lender. So hopefully that makes some sense. But check with somebody and see if you can go now or if you've got to wait. But that program should help a lot of people, and it probably will help you too. Here's the biggest challenge for all of you that have that second mortgage in place is you've got to get the second lender to cooperate. And they have to subordinate, which means they have to basically sign a form saying, we'll remain in second position. And sometimes that's harder than anything else, is getting them to respond and getting them to, to help you out in a timely manner. So that's probably the bigger challenge in the group. From the 916, I need some advice and guidance on how to fix my credit. That's a generic call for help. Depends on what about your credit you need fixing. Some people don't have any credit. That's a different scenario than having bad credit or having credit challenges. There's, and for those of you that are looking for that kind of information, probably just email me after the show, the jeff@jefftarbell.com, because there's a couple ways to fix your credit. There's some local credit repair companies who can do some work. I've been kind of leaning toward more of the attorney-based credit repair companies lately who actually go after the creditors and force them to respond to you, force them to prove that you were late, and kind of holds some of the legal requirements over their head a little bit. And the minute a lot of these creditors have to start defending themselves or spending money to go back and research things, a lot of times they just won't. They won't do it. And so you can sometimes get it away a little quicker than that. So if you're in need of credit help, I am not a credit expert in any shape or form, but I do have some good resources for it. So you can email me, jeff@jefftarbell.com, and we'll try to get you out the right information depending on what you need to do. But I'm glad you're thinking about it because as I was teaching a class at Granite Bay High School this week, I teach this mortgage and credit class to people, and a lot of people think that no credit is okay. No credit is okay. Well, I don't have bad credit. I have no credit. I pay cash for everything. But now you're coming to somebody and asking him to loan you $200,000, and you've shown no history of ever being able to make a payment back to somebody. So that's a zero credit score is not good either. You got to establish some credit. So it's important that you look into those things and get it cleaned up. And a lot of credit is just misreported, and that's the hard part. You got to get that resolved. So I hope that helps you a little bit. You can text me as well at 441140 if you'd like. And we got a couple phone lines open if you want to jump in at 339-1140 or 1-800-920-1140. We'll talk about this when we come back. Are you left-handed? The health risks of being left-handed, according to the Wall Street Journal. I didn't know this, though. 6 of the last 12... What's the big... 6? This is their bullet point. 6 of the last 12 U.S. presidents were left-handed, so that's half. Wouldn't you expect half? You get two hands, that's 50%. So 6 of the last 12 presidents were left-handed. But there are some interesting fun facts there about the the left-handed people, if that's one of you. We'll talk about that when we come back. I do have another quiz question for you. So let's see if we can get a little snow going, a little snow thought, little just discussion. Maybe we talk about it, it will come. If they build a cornfield baseball park thing, they'll play. What are you giving me the finger for? Or is that your whole hand? Okay, I can't see the finger behind your. Oh, it's your whole hand. Oh, it's 5 fingers. Okay, gotcha. This is a. I don't want to give it away. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. In the last 4 years, 07, 08, 09, and 2010, there's been about 900,000 combined units of alpine skis, snow skis, and snowboards sold between the two. In which year, if any of those years, did snowboard sales outpace ski sales? That make sense? In the last 4 years,
because there's 2 skis.
No, a pair of skis is considered one sale.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's not. It's not a trick question like that. So they considered a pair of skis a unit. That's a good one, Chris. You're paying attention there, but yeah, there would always be more, dummy. They sold 2. You want both skis? That reminds me of Dumber and Dumber. Are those skis yours? Both of them? So a pair of skis is considered one sale. So in any of the last 4 years, did snowboard sales outpace ski sales? 339-1140, and I'll give you a pass to Sierra at Tahoe to go skiing. Bring your own snow. And we'll make some. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140, or you can text us at 441140. This is Talkin Money. I'll be right back, Jack.